when I lived in the palace. And now look at me, wasted away to practically nothing.
This is Ursula. She's the main villain in Disney's The Little Mermaid. Did you know that this iconic villain was inspired by a real-life drag queen and was almost a lionfish? So dive with me into the under-the-sea world of The Little Mermaid and uncover the fascinating evolution of Ursula from her mythological roots to becoming one of animation's most unforgettable villains. My name is Caleb. I'm a self-taught artist, and I'm constantly learning how to draw. So what I do is I draw the character I'm talking about and see if I can draw it better or worse. If that's fine with you, then welcome to the Villain Forge. Let me take you back in time. It's 1836. In Denmark, there was a Danish author by the name of Hans Christian Andersen who wrote a fairy tale story in Danish called The Little Sea Maid, which sometimes translates as The Little Mermaid, which was later published in 1837 by C.A. Razel in Copenhagen under the book Fairy Tales Told for Children, first collection. So the story follows a journey of a young mermaid princess who was willing to give up her life in the sea as a mermaid to gain a human soul. Now, Andersen's story was a success. As it gained popularity, it became a subject of multiple analysis by scholars and folklorists. I never knew that was a word until now, who covered various aspects of the story. And with all these shenanigans came adaptations in form of musical theater, opera, ballet, and film, to name a few, which later got Disney's attention as he planned for it to be part of his earliest feature films, which was proposed to be a package film containing Andersen's tales. And development began as soon after completing Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs in the late 1930s. However, it got delayed and shelved due to various circumstances. So, decades passed until the mid-80s when an American animator and film director by the name of Ron Clements became interested in the film adaptation of The Little Mermaid. At the time, he was working as director on The Great Mouse Detective. And the way he discovered Hans Christian Andersen's The Little Mermaid was through a bookstore, not Disney's project library or archives. So he presented a 2-page story to Disney Studios' chief at the time by the name of Jeffrey Katzenberg, who passed the project over. However, the next day, Mr. Katzenberg approved the idea for a possible development, which is weird. So, they brought in another animator, film director, and screenwriter by the name of John Musker to help Clements rewrite the story. However, coincidentally, they rewrote the story similar to the one from the 1930s Disney's changes of Andersen's original story, which are decades apart, and the similarities were mind-blowingly similar. Now, this brings us to our character, Ursula. So they loosely adopted the sea witch from the original story, now given the name Ursula, and Vanessa when she turned into human form. So, the name Vanessa comes from a Latin word vanitas, meaning vanity or worthlessness, and in Greek means butterfly, as seen in the portion that she uses to turn human. Now, she was written as master of ocean or sea magic who was confident and classy, with a big attitude problem and wicked sense of humor. Established herself as a beacon of hope towards unfortunate mer people or mermaid people, she was manipulative in a sarcastic tone. No sense of morality or remorse. She was nasty, vengeful, and acrimonious. For example, she held a long grudge against King Triton. Now they assigned an animator and character designer by the name of Glen Keane to visually design the final character design. The character of Ursula draws inspiration from mythological sea witches and 1980s drag culture. She was initially envisioned as a lionfish or manta ray until her design evolved into the octopus-inspired figure we know today. However, the final look was heavily inspired by the popular drag queen Divine, who was an American actor and singer, usually performing female roles in cinematic and theatrical productions, lending Ursula her flamboyant and larger-than-life personality. So Keane's vision for Ursula was to create a character who was both alluring and terrifying. Ursula's exaggerated features, flowing tentacles, and vibrant colors, purple and black for example, made her a visually striking villain. Now, they brought in the Legend award-winning Patricia Ann Carroll, aka Pat Carroll, who was an American actress and comedian, to voice Ursula.
And when I was called by the agent to say, would you like to audition for a Disney film? I said, oh my Lord, that's an answer to prayer. Of course I would.
In interviews, Carroll referred to the role as her first as a villain and one of the favorites of her career. Pat Carroll's deep, rich, and sinister voice brought Ursula to life, adding a layer of malevolent charm that captivated audiences. Her performance was so iconic that it became an integral part of Ursula's identity, blending perfectly with her visual design.
My dear, sweet child. That's what I do.
But did you know that Pat Carroll was not the first choice to voice Ursula? The original script has been written with Bay author in mind, of Disney's own TV series The Golden Girls in mind. After Arthur turned down the role, they casted other actresses by the name of Nancy Wilson, Rosine, and Charlotte Ray, to mention a few, before they arrived at Carroll. That's how serious they took this role. Now, more money and resources were dedicated to The Little Mermaid than any other Disney animated film in decades during that time, as they brought in live actors and actresses to film for motion reference materials for the animators, which was a practice used frequently by Walt Disney himself during his time. So when it came to Ursula's character, it was supervised by Ruben Aquino. Storyboarding Ursula's scenes was a complex process led by some of Disney's top storyboard artists. They meticulously planned out her movements, expressions, and interactions to maximize her impact. The animation team worked tirelessly to ensure her tentacles moved fluidly, reflecting her cunning and deceptive nature. Animators used a combination of traditional hand-drawn techniques and innovative effects to bring her movements to life, ensuring she dominated every scene she was in. By the way, did you know that it was estimated that over 1 million bubbles were drawn for this film? Hats off to the animators, cause that's crazy. Now, the film was directed by Ron Clements and John Musker, who wrote the screenplay. So, they revised the story format to make The Little Mermaid a musical with a Broadway-style story structure, with the song sequences serving as the pillar of the film. So they envisioned Ursula as the powerful, charismatic antagonist whose presence would be both entertaining and menacing. Their goal was to create a villain that not only challenged Ariel, but also captivated the audience with her personality and schemes. Ursula's grand musical number, Poor Unfortunate Souls, encapsulates the vision perfectly, showcasing her manipulative abilities and theatrical flair. Finally, as the first major villain of the Disney Renaissance era, Ursula made a considerable impact in the entertainment industry. As an official poll of the top 30 villains in Disney history put her at number 5, and the Nostalgia Critic ranked her at number 6, which is really great for such a character. And personally, I believe she revolutionized the way we see female villains to this day.